So you know that feeling when you open a window, the sun is shining, the birds are chirping, and you just soak all the light that you can possibly get? Yes, spring is here. In today's video, I will be sharing 5 tips of what you can do to prep you and your plant collection for spring and therefore a successful growing season. I feel like I'm already in such a spring mood ever since there is sun coming out much more often and just my mood went over the roof. I love spring. Anyway, so I have my trusty notebook here because notes. So the first and kind of really important tip that I would give you is do spring cleaning of your plants, of your plant collection, of your shelves, of your grow tents, wherever you are keeping those plants. I've just done this the past week for my greenhouse, which was really dang dirty. Plants are really good catchers of any of the dust and it will just accumulate on them, and especially if you're growing plants in high humid environment, mold will grow and it will just get like kind of nasty. So you'd want to clean that up just to minimize any chances of infection and also minimize any chances of pests. With dust in particular, I know if you have a dusty plant, it's really hard to see if you have spider mites per se, and they just kind of really prefer dusty plants. So it'd be really good to just clean all the dusty leaves. Just wipe it down with the soap, or you can also use some neem oil, and if you have any of the hard water stains, you can use a little bit of lemon juice because it dissolves the minerals. Whenever you are doing the spring cleaning, you will also see which plants could use a little bit more attention from you. I think it's good to kind of like make a note, especially if you have more plants that are in need, so you don't forget any of those. They could either need a little bit more fertilizing, they could be propagated, they have spider mites and you need to quarantine them. You know, just observe what your plants are doing, especially if they have been a little bit more dormant. That may still come up in the following months. And this brings me to the second important point, which is pest management. So the winter is kind of a great time for spider mites to thrive, at least in my opinion. If I've had problems with pests, it was always spider mites, and it was in winter or like early spring. I don't know why. I don't really get any new plants, so that was an enigma. So I guess they just come from, I don't know, devil spawns. The really good idea whenever you are doing spring cleaning is to also do a pest management as a preventative measure for your plants. So if you have some sort of pesticide that's not like the deadliest one of the ones that you have, like a medium level, that you would spray all your plants with it. I've done this too as a preventative measure, and because I found one spider mite. So you can kind of be sure that there aren't any problems, or if there are smaller amounts of pests that you eliminate them. And with spring and whenever you start opening windows more, so the risk of getting pests increases, especially thrips, because adult thrips can fly. You can very easily get them from just opening the window, which I think is probably the most common reason to get them, and I don't think many people actually realize that they're so easy to transfer. Or you can also transfer them on your clothes, especially if you're working outside in a garden or something. Like, don't go with the same clothes into your grow tent, which is like enclosed environment, because you could possibly be causing a disaster, and we want to avoid that. Spider mites are also very common in spring as well. I haven't had much experience with other pests. And you can also get some systemic pesticides. So whenever you water the plant with systemic pesticide, the plant will take up that pesticide and it will start working from inside the plant. So if, I don't know, a spider mite would start munching on the plant, it would also munch on little traces of that pesticide and it would kill it. I haven't, however, went down that road before, but I might for spring and for an upcoming project that we have. So I will keep you updated if that happens. And the point number 3 is plants to prop. I think right now is the perfect time to propagate your plants, especially if you want to have a successful propagation and still get a decent amount of growing from that plant during the growing season. Whenever you cut plants, from cutting to the first leaf, it can take anywhere from 1 to 2 months. Depends on the plants and the species and your environment and all that other factors, but I think the 2 months is a good month rule. And since we are in the middle of March, April April, so by the end of May, your plant would have recovered and would still have a good amount of months to do the growing. So I'm planning to be propagating some more plants. We're gonna be propagating a lot of monsteras, the ones that we have here, and I also have another really bushy pot at home that I've been thinking about propagating, but I'm not really sure because I know it's a nice pot, but we'll see. And I've also propagated some more monsteras like these. So these are propagations from my big mother plant. I've also posted a video on how that went, so if you're curious. These cuttings have really long aerial roots that were not really active, and with not active aerial roots it can be difficult, or it just takes longer for new roots to appear. Ever since I've kind of put this in the kitchen, which is our prime spot for rooting monsteras because they get good light and it's warm, they've started pushing root, which is a good sign. And these are cuttings that are not even 2 weeks old, and given the current state, I think that's good. The point number 4 would be to sell some of your plants, especially if you have any plants that you want to sell, or you maybe just want to downsize your collection a little bit. I've noticed that the plant market has been heating up ever since the spring is just around the corner, and people are getting on that buy the plant for the spring itch again. So it's a great time if you want to get rid of some plants and also earn some money. So do your magic. The temperatures are also much more forgivable for shipping. You don't need a heat pack anymore. The plants will recover faster, especially if during shipping they're not exposed to varying temperatures. I feel like if the temperatures are more or less stable, that really benefits the plant's recovery. And then the last tip, which I'm also guilty of, is fertilizing. Like, you should be fertilizing if your plant is growing even during the winter, but in the spring when everything kind of just picks up the pace, you should also pick up the piece of fertilizing. I've just done a fertilizing cure last week when I've done kind of like a general spring cleaning, and I fertilized all of my plants. Now, you do it in whatever form you like it. You can put a slow release fertilizer, which is like this osmocote, which is great if you are forgetful about fertilizing your plants because it will just dissolve and fertilize your plant. Another great option, or like a similar option, is the sticks, the fertilizer sticks that you kind of just put into the soil. It's a similar principle. It will slowly dissolve with every watering that you give the plant. I personally haven't used much of these. I think I've used it a little bit on my monsteras, but I know they can be great alternative. And then another great option is your basic liquid fertilizer when you just water the plants. With some you can also do foliar feeding, or if you have fertilizer specific for foliar feeding. So you just fertilize them. I know we're all guilty of them. I'm guilty of this, but I'm trying to do better because I know they need it. And that brings us to the end of this video. Hopefully you've enjoyed and found some useful tips. If you did, please give it a like and hit the notification button, and I'll see you next one. Bye!